Hello again. My name's Gabe Zollner. You know, you've heard me say quite often I don't make the news, I just report the news. And pretty much all media, the mainstream media, is supposed to report the news and not make the news. And I have said in numerous videos that when they spew untruths, like they did about the shooting that took place in Minnesota and the shooting that took place in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, they ultimately, unfortunately, ended up making the news. And you know what? They're still doing it. Caught a little bit of Maria Bartiromo. She's one of the talking heads. If you do a search on her bio, you'll see she used to be a full-fledged left-winger. But in either case, one of the headlines that were below her, she was talking, they talked about the police killings in both Louisiana and then Minnesota. I did a Google search on the definition of killing, and what it is intentional murder. And you got the other talking head from Fox, Smith. He's doing the same thing. Matter of fact, that's why I did the initial search on that word, because he was spewing his mouth off in Texas. He flew to Texas to talk about the events as they were unfolding. Jeb Smith. It's just really incredible how they get away with doing what they do. When they invite these moron senators and congressmen on to talk, do you think that does any good for the American people? The media has turned into a circus show. I mean, it's really what it is. An absolute circus show. But in this case, it had deadly results. They shouldn't be allowed to use words like killing until they realize what those words mean and the contents that they're being used. Police killings mean that police intentionally murder people. That isn't what happened in Louisiana, and it isn't what happened in Minnesota. And that's become very clear and evident. There's a video that I'm going to attach in another video that I'm going to make, which is MVI 3312. You need to watch that attached link. And again, the media is not supposed to make the news, but they are. They are, by helping to incite people that are easily incitable. None of this would have happened in Dallas, Texas, if the mainstream media wouldn't have talked about what should have been 2 arrests that went bad. Instead, what did we hear? Well, we heard that an unarmed man selling CDs that has 5 children was gunned down by police in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We heard that a man with a concealed carry weapons permit was murdered in his car as his girlfriend was live streaming it on Facebook. That's what we heard. And that's what a whole lot of these mentally unbalanced people heard. That's what Leak Xavier Johnson heard. That's what a lot of people heard. That's what Louis Farrakhan heard. That's the same thing as Reverend Jesse Jackson heard. That's the same thing as Al Sharpton heard. And what did they do? They fired up the masses. And what did the masses do? They're still doing it. They're rioting in the streets. They're shooting at police. They're shooting at police buildings. None of it would have happened if it wasn't for the mainstream media. As I said in previous videos, there's hundreds of people that get killed every week. We don't hear about it. But anytime there's a police officer that wastes a black man because a black man reached for a weapon, threatened a police officer's life. All we hear is about that event over and over and over again. They're still talking about it 3 days after the event. They'll talk about this for the next 2 weeks. It gives them something to do to captivate their audience. Absolutely and completely insane. They need to be held accountable. That's sort of what I think. You pretty much know why I think what I think, don't you?